Thank you, everybody, for coming on what is the last session of the day. Appreciate the endurance and the stamina. My name is Brian Smith. I am responsible for partner ecosystems around consumer industries at Databricks. I'm wondering how good that's doing. Smith Brian desu. Dozo yoroshiku onegaishimasu. How does it? Maybe. All right, cool. I have no idea. I can't read and write Japanese at all. I want to talk a little bit today about the partnership between Treasure Data and Databricks and why this is so significant. My goal is to get across kind of the vision of where we're going and why everyone should be so excited about this. And of course, we'll have plenty of time for Q&A. I won't drag this out for 30 minutes. We'll kind of get it done, let you guys get off the happy hour and the show tonight, and go from there. Where are we? All right, maybe. I promise fast, and here we go. So this is an amazing time to be in the marketing space, right? AI is here, and for those of us who've been doing this kind of work and kind of dealing with a lot of the drudgery, there's so much that we can now unload over to AI, making us more productive, more capable, able to scale, right? And so we're seeing massive integration already today of AI into our workflows and big time savings, 12 hours on average, right? Every single week we're gaining back from this. And so it's no surprise organizations are continuing to invest more and more into the AI space around marketing. So much so that by 2028, the expectation is that 20% of what we do today will be fully automated with agentic solutions, making our lives easier and allowing us to address more complex scenarios than we're capable of at this moment. Now, in the conversation around AI and where we're going with this, we tend to go into, well, which is the better model? Is it ChatGPT, or should we be using something from Anthropic, or maybe Meta over here, or whatnot? What frameworks are we doing, right? How are we going to integrate all this stuff? And that stuff is super important. But it kind of misses the point, right? Fundamentally, no off-the-shelf technology can give you long-term competitive advantage, right? You have to bring your secret sauce to the table and combine it with that technology to get anything that's going to be sustained. And that means that we need to focus on how it is that we're going to pull together our specific knowledge of our products and the way we go to market, how our customers engage, the data from our customer touch points, and make that ready to connect with those technologies as they continue to evolve so we can get the big boost from this stuff. So data is key. I keep looking over here expecting my slides, and then I'm just like, oh my God, what's going on? All right, focus over here. Gotcha. Cool. So when we focus on the data, the conversation tends to go to here. Let's focus on the customer. Let's focus on all the touch points that surround the customer. I work a lot in the retail space. These are all retail touch points. Let's construct a customer 360. And this is really important. This is the foundation for everything that we're doing inside this space. And there's still quite a bit of work that we need to do. When we ask organizations, especially the marketing teams and organizations, what are the impediments for them to get the full advantage of AI? Quite often it comes back to concerns about what are our appropriate uses for this data? And is the data of sufficient quality, right? Great, we can scale, but if we're scaling garbage, really not the way to be going here. So we have a lot of work we need to do in this space, but I want us to look a step beyond this, right? When agentic AI comes in, it's going to allow us to think more expansively about our workflows. We can start to look at things like our products, how they align with diet and lifestyle choices that our customers might have preferences for, and we can connect more deeply with them. Popular German company, Catchies, makes these vegetarian gummies. I'm personally a vegetarian. I've really missed gummies for a long time. I love these things. But they figured out that there was a group of folks who were not vegetarians who actually would be really engaged with some of the other messaging around our products, right? The health benefits, the ethic benefits, the environmental benefits. By drilling into the product and pulling that information out versus having us vegetarians who know to look at the label to find gelatin and avoid a product, but to speak to that audience about what's not in these, they were actually able to drive double-digit growth in the 2010s around their product and establish themselves in an already well-established category. What if we could use weather, localized weather, as it's changing? A fashion retailer out of the UK actually used this pattern to drive what was being displayed on localized billboards, 37% increase in sales, because they were responding to the immediate conditions that customers were engaged in. What if we could target promos based on actual availability? This one personally frustrates me. I shop at a specific store. I receive an email, hey, we got this new product, it's great, right? It's available in the market, but when I go to that specific store where I always shop, and damn it, they should know this, it's not there. What does that do to me as a customer? Well, how is it the marketer's fault? How were they supposed to know what was actually in stock or not when that stuff was sent? What if we could trigger messaging based on low availability? And this one's kind of counterintuitive, but really interesting. Instacart actually started playing with this. And when they started notifying people that some of the products that they were going after were low in stock, purchases of those items, even though they were still available, did decrease, but they were able to shift the interest to other products and actually boosted the overall basket size by 5.3%. What if we could employ dynamic pricing? Monitor our competitors in the area, make adjustments to our promos around the things that we're offering to maximize our margins and remain competitive. People can trust that we're always going to give them the best price and we don't have to give it away in the process. What if we could plug in to our revenue management team, actually track the volumes that we're moving as a result of our promos, as well as the margins that we're raking in with this stuff, and kind of pull back a little bit, so we're not giving it away unnecessarily. All right, these are some of the examples of where we're going to go in the agentic future, where we start to take a broader look across the enterprise. The Customer 360 is still the foundation of everything that we're doing, but all of a sudden I need detailed product data. I need to know about the store inventories. I need to know about our pricing and promotion strategies being run by the revenue management and the merchandising teams. I need to know where we're at with financial goals. I need to know information from across my entire enterprise to orchestrate in a whole new manner, right? We're busting through the silos. And at this point, the CDP is bursting. We cannot get all this data into the classic CDP when it's a silo that we have to replicate our data to. All right, which is why that when we talk about agentic AI, the need for a unified data platform that consolidates our enterprise information is absolutely critical. All right, so with all that said, please allow me to introduce Databricks. If you're not familiar with Databricks, we are a leading data and AI platform, widely adopted. We're in use in 60% of the Fortune 5,000 companies all over the globe. Some of the labels you see up here, driving their data and AI transformation. Fundamentally, our technology looks like this. We bring data into cloud storage. We run on all 3 major clouds and some other ones that aren't so major, allowing you to bring the data into their storage and format it in a high-speed, scalable format, open format. We put a catalog on top of it. The catalog gives us basic governance and controls around the data. It tracks lineage, helps us understand where things are coming from, but it also embeds semantics. So AI can actually understand what the data are and how they relate to each other. And then on top of that, we have a set of capabilities that speak to the business analysts, speak to the data scientists and the data engineers, speak to the application developers and the AI developers that are out there. In one platform, we're trying to address the breadth of need, analytic need across the enterprise. So you don't have to replicate your data from system to system. You can establish that unified single source of truth for your environment on which you can build your AI apps. And that's exactly what Treasure Data is doing. Treasure Data is integrating with Databricks. So when you run Databricks in your environment, you simply plug Treasure Data in. Your Customer 360 is going to be there, but you can bring in your store inventories. You can bring in your product details and integrate your PIM. Your supply chain management system also integrates into the back end, has its data stored there. And all of a sudden, now you can start to look beyond just the simple customer touch points to set up your AI workflows and drive more sophisticated, holistic operations through your environment. And so when we look at all the AI capabilities that Treasure Data is coming out with, there's a lot of goodness that's there out of the box, but you can now extend this to look beyond just the marketing silo. And of course, you can build your own AI with this capability off of this foundation that you've established in Databricks. So that's the basic message of where we're going. Could not be more excited for this. And so I'm going to leave you with 2 calls to action. If you're not familiar with Databricks, and many of you are using Databricks, but I understand it's typically your IT department that knows us really well, take a moment to get to know us. QR code up here, wow, right there at the edge. We'll take you out to our site where we try to explain our technology more in a marketing context so you can better understand where we fit into that space and the vision that we have for Agentic AI in the marketing ecosystem. Would also encourage you to go out to the Treasure Data site and see where they're headed with their new hybrid architecture that's going to unlock all this goodness inside your enterprise. A lot of great stuff to come here. See some phones out. Want to make sure everybody's got the QR codes. Because with that, I'm going to say thank you. We're going to open it up to Q&A. All right, cool. Questions? Everyone's just ready for a drink. All right, yes?
I love the examples you gave of use cases like weather and things like that. Can you sort of connect the slides? I think I get it, but how the data, oh, I'm sorry. Can you maybe talk about maybe examples where customers are able to achieve that and at a high level describe where that data is in Databricks and what's handed over to Treasure Data or vice versa?
So the idea, well, let me go here a little bit. The idea about what's handed over to Databricks, to Treasure Data, is that in this new architecture, nothing. They simply plug in, they read our catalog. As you are doing work in your environment, you're leveraging that copy that sits inside of the Databricks environment. So you don't need to make 2 copies anymore. Now, if you really dig into the architecture, there is some replication to enable some of the real-time. There's some caching that takes place. But the idea is that you've got one source of truth that you can plug into and leverage in your workflows. So no more are we having to make a copy. And we're also seeing other partners in this ecosystem beginning to embrace this. Supply chain management systems, ERP systems, again, building on top of Databricks. So all that data is in that bucket right there. And all we have to do is figure out the semantics to access that data and incorporate it into your marketing workflows. You now have access to knowledge that was before locked up in another system, and honestly, probably hidden behind German acronyms, right? Your SAP or whatever. But now it's accessible to you, right? And now you just go as sophisticated as you want with it. In the beginning, what we expect for that 2028 figure, we're really focusing on just continuing what we're doing today, but doing it better. Right? That's always the first phase of any sustained innovation, is start with the core. Start with what you're already doing, committed to, and just do it better. But very quickly, we expect organizations to start thinking about what could we do next that would be different. And that big next that we see is asking marketers to connect with other teams and coordinate their activities in a way that they've not really been able to do in the past. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No.
Just my point of clarification is, have you seen, imagine I'm an email marketer, and I want to put in the content of the email low inventory that comes from another table that's not really a customer table, or whether that's just a configuration in Treasure Data to go look at that right table and pull it at the time of send or something like that?
Correct. So in the past, what we had to do with this is we had to restructure the data to make it what we call conformed, right? So that these things were all linked up in a nice, elegant way. It was part of one unified model. And the reality is we ended up with a whole bunch of these unified models, right? Everybody had their pet model where they brought the little subsets they wanted and restructured in different ways. Now, using semantics, we can look at the data, and I don't want to say it's bulletproof. Certainly, there are complex scenarios where semantics are going to fail you and you're going to need some data transformation. But assuming we have the data in a reasonable state and it's appropriately described and the basic linkages are there, we already have capabilities inside of Databricks and other platforms as well. I know Treasure Data has this. Many platforms, if not most platforms, have this these days, where they can read the semantics and generate the query on your behalf to extract the information you're looking for. And that's how this is going to come together. Yeah. Excellent. Other questions? Yes.
How does this interact with maybe like other data format within Databricks, like graph frames or like models that you want to push down?
Oh man, graph frames, here we go. So the beauty of Databricks is we're very agnostic to data, structured and unstructured. I do a lot of work with computer vision in retail scenarios where people are looking at the actual display of products on shelf to extract information from that. We can work with the images, we can work with video, we work with audio files, we can extract data from it and make it accessible in various formats. There's all kinds of things we can do with that. We can also structure the data as a graph. And so knowledge graphs are very popular, especially in more manufacturing or life sciences scenarios where there's complex relationships between things that we have to navigate. And so that's all embedded inside that Databricks environment. Now, the ability of the semantics to actually query that and retrieve something, that's where I don't know. The reality is that graphs are fairly complex, but we do see a lot of the graph vendors bolting semantic layers on top of it. And I expect that very quickly we will have capabilities there if they're not already in place.
Okay, thank you.
All right, yes.
So the arrow you had from Databricks going to Treasure Data, is that zero? Oh. So that arrow which goes from Databricks to Treasure Data, is that zero copy types in? Is that the way I'm just thinking in my mind? I'm guessing the underlying assumption here is that Databricks is that data warehouse for all the other data sources like your distribution, depletion data, and all of that data is basically sitting in Databricks. That's when you can get to that other picture, the first picture you showed when you had all these other touch points around the consumer. So the underlying assumption here is that Databricks is that central warehouse which has all of that data set, which thereby allows kind of a zero copy access by Treasure Data to create those connected, or at least to create those connected insights.
Correct. I mean, when we say zero copy, if we have a Databricks audience, there's something very specific we mean with that. There's a protocol that we use called delta sharing. So I know we have one technical person. You asked about graph frames. You're definitely technical. And that is an option. However, here, what we're highlighting is what they call a composable architecture, where you can think about us as a database, a traditional database server, really, where you're connecting in and engaging it like via JDBC or whatever, regardless of what the actual protocol is. What's not shown here, because my God, it would be a messy slide, you don't actually have to land everything in Databricks. Databricks has federation capabilities, so data that doesn't sit in Databricks can appear as if it were in Databricks. And so we have a lot of partners that are out there. I mentioned weather and event data, right? So AccuWeather is one of our partners. Event data, PredictHQ is another one that collects event information. Foot traffic providers. I'm working with another company that's collecting real-time mobility information. They can collect that data and using our zero copy delta sharing, make it appear as if it resides inside your Databricks environment, even though it isn't. And when they update it on their site, it's immediately accessible on yours. You see those updates. And so that little circle actually can represent this massive branching set of connections but to you, it looks like it's all just there, and everything has semantics, and you just use it. And that's the beauty of where we're going with this. So certainly, we want to encourage the data to land in there. There are some benefits to that, but there are a lot of scenarios where that's not the right choice, and we can federate and go from there. Yeah.
So the other thing I will think is that you have it on the left, the way it's kind of shows the flow from left to right, but ideally I'm also thinking that you could also have on the right side when you have like a clean room type scenarios, that's where probably Databricks will, so you actually have a play on the right side as well for first party data enrichment with
That's
clean
right.
rooms.
We have clean room capabilities and integrations with companies like LiveRamp and the Trade Desk and others around this. There's all kinds of possibilities there. I would also highlight, this is really exciting if you're not in marketing. Your supply chain team desperately wants to understand how people are responding to your communications, because that's a signal of the demand that's about to hit them, and they can adjust. They're building out forecasts that are looking forward, and they don't have that immediate signal, hey, people are responding to this, people are coming to the store, let's double check that what we said was gonna happen is really gonna happen. We might be overwhelmed or underwhelmed to kind of make adjustments. There's a ton of information that you're collecting in this environment that SCM solutions not shown on here can plug into, and other things outside your domain can tap into your data. Yeah. Oh boy, we're triggering questions.
Thank you. So on this diagram here, you have ID resolution happening in the CDP, but obviously in theory, you could also do that in Databricks. Do you have an opinion on when it's best to do it in CDP and when is it best to use Databricks to do the ID resolution?
So let's separate the logic of how we do identity resolution from where the data actually resides. So if treasure data is doing the identity resolution on your behalf, and I know there's multiple strategies for this, so it gets really complex, they can still be specifying all the logic, but the number crunching, the construction of the identity graph could be taking place inside of Databricks. Or you could be plugging into a third-party identity graph that's not shown here, but who has delta sharing capabilities with us, so that you're able to load up the PII and immediately resolve it and get back the identifiers that you want and link your data together. There are multiple paths to this. Yeah.
I have another question. Could you talk maybe a little more around the real-time audience cache and processing? Yeah.
I've pretty much given the depth that I've got there, because that really is specific to treasure data.
Mm-hmm.
But treasure data is unique, well, not fairly unique in the CDP space, in that they support true real-time analytics, and that does require that some data be there in a high-performance mode.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Databricks does have distributed Postgres capabilities built into it through what we call Lakebase. If I go back to this architecture,
Yes.
We like to give crazy names to things that don't communicate what that is, but that is a distributed Postgres implementation. That could be used as a caching layer. Initially, though, we're really looking at it more towards transactional type workloads. So it might evolve there over time, but that'll be a treasure data decision as far as where that goes. So today, when we look at this diagram, the way it's been explained to me, and I'm not the authority on this, so I could be lying to everybody here, please go talk to treasure data and validate this, but there would be some subsets that they would need for real time where they would make a copy into their layer to support that.
Okay, thank you.
Hopefully I didn't screw that up. Okay, Irene's about to throw something at me. All right, cool. Or I'm about to get hit. Okay, cool. Other questions? So guys, I hope this vision of where we're headed is inspiring. I was in the lounge earlier today and someone put a ticket up there. They were asking, what do you like, what do you don't like? I was like, I'm so sick of AI. AI is going to be amazing. It's going to allow us to do things that we have dreamt of, but have never been equipped to actually put into motion. Beginning, though, is creating that data foundation and starting to stretch beyond the boundaries that we've been working within in the past. And this architecture is an amazing starting point for that. So hope you're as excited as I am, and yeah, say thank you for your time today.